1027 WNEW, New York.
Ron and Fez, 1027 WNEW.
Hey, Billy, did you see this AA thing that was in the paper today?
Yeah, that story about people, confession, a guy confessing in AA.
Yeah, what exactly happened, Fez?
Now, the situation is, it's a judge a while back overturned a verdict saying that any confession in AA is not admissible because it's a religious organization. Now it's gone to an appeals court, and what the prosecutors are saying, no, not every member of AA that says what they heard is a member of the clergy. You know, clergies don't have to reveal what they've heard.
So this guy, he stands up in AA, and he says, I killed somebody?
I believe that's what he said.
And now they want to act like he didn't, or it's not admissible, because he said it at AA.
Right.
That's the stupidest thing I ever heard in my life.
And they're saying that AA is a religious organization.
Right. Billy, where are you running off to? I want to find out something. Was that you who stood up and said that? I got to tell you something. I rubbed my forehead on twaddle.
Prosecutors say that the people in the meeting that heard this confession, they're not members of the clergy. They're not obligated to keep their mouths shut. The defense attorney says, no, you could stand. If there was an AA meeting filling Madison Square Garden and you confessed to murder there, it would be fine. That would be inadmissible.
It's absolutely ridiculous. Anything you say in an AA meeting should stay there. It's called anonymous, and that's the whole purpose of it.
Who turned them in? Somebody that was part of the meeting, though?
Yeah, it looks like somebody there, the detectives, excuse me, they...
All right, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
You're in an AA meeting.
Correct.
And that ain't going to happen anytime soon. I know you.
Let's say I have been.
All right, you have been. Someone gets up and says, I molested a kid, and I'm still doing it. I'll probably do it again tomorrow. You wouldn't feel the need to tackle that son of a bitch and take him to the cops?
Do I feel the need? Of course I'd love. Yeah, I mean, that's a private thing. Tackle him, beat him up in the parking lot. But to run to the cops, because it should not be admissible. Plain and simple. It's priest-penitent privilege.
But it's Alcoholics Anonymous, not Kid Touchers Anonymous.
Right. And even there, if it's Kid Touchers Anonymous, you get up and say, I'm hurting a kid. Somebody should have him arrested just so he stops. In other words, here's the thing, Billy. When you're part of a program, and I don't want to talk about AA because that is supposed to be anonymous, but any 12-step program, part of it is your honesty level. You're supposed to be taking responsibility. You got to help this guy take some responsibility. He killed somebody.
Now, I didn't know AA was a religious organization.
It's not a church, that's for sure. You could say it's a spiritual organization. But I don't see how it's not a church.
See, it is an honesty program. What you should have to do then is make that person go and confess to his crime on his own. It's not up to anybody else to do that. When you're in an AA meeting, you should be able to feel free and to be able to say whatever it is that's keeping you from staying sober. And, you know, if people are going to go running to the cops every time, the program's not going to work.
Here's the thing. I'd rather this guy was drunk but stopped killing people. In other words, he's hurting other human beings. If he got up and said, oh, I tried to kill myself last night, that's nobody's business. That's his to work out. But if he's saying, I'm a serial killer, going from town to town, somebody's got to step up there. Somebody's got to stop this.
Yeah, but it should not be admissible in court, though, Ronnie. And this is the whole basis of the privilege, of freedom of speech. It's protected speech.
By who, the government?
Yeah, there are certain types of speech that are protected between priest and penitent, husband and wife, newspaper reporter and source. There are a few lawyer and client. These are protected forms of speech, and the court is saying here that this falls under the religious aspect of it, and it's true.
You think it's a church, though? In all honesty,
no.
Okay.
I believe it's based on spiritual foundations, but I do not consider it a church because it's open to atheists and non-believers all
right, exactly. That's true. And nobody's pushing on you got Jews in there, you got Muslims.
All right,
now I'm in a pickle because Billy's made some good points.
Here's some more facts of the case. It was a man convicted of manslaughter, and testifying at his trial were other members of his AA group that said he confessed to this crime in group. So his conviction has now been overturned because those confessions have been told they were inadmissible and thrown out.
Well, one of the traditions, I believe, says anonymity is the spiritual foundation of all their principles. I mean, that's it. If you don't have anonymity,
I agree. I agree, but I don't know why other innocent people have to suffer for that. You see what I'm saying?
Well, if it is, like you said, a program on honesty, then if this guy's going to get honest in an AA room, he's got to get honest and go to the authorities.
Right. So, I mean, it's not exactly like he's working the program, is it?
No. He's got to take it the next step.
All right, here's a lot of people that are part of it. Hey, Kerr, you're on Run Fest.
Hi, Kerr.
Hey, how you doing?
Yeah.
Listen, let me just turn down my radio. I'm a member of NA, which is basically the same as AA.
All right, hold on. Before you say that, how is it anonymous if you're telling us you're a member? You're not supposed to be talking about this in
I'm only giving my first name.
Yeah, well, whatever. But still, the fact is, let's say you're in a 12-step program.
And an abbreviated version of it.
All right.
But anyway, so I'm in one of those programs, and, I'm an oxycodone freak. Anyway, as far as, I'm not sure who it was saying, it's the spirituality is the basis for the whole thing, or rather, anonymity. Anonymity is the basis for the whole thing. Now, as far as it's concerned, it's got to be completely inadmissible. First of all, people are in there. They lie when they're in there. A lot of people are higher, in this case, drunk when they're in there. They can't bring this down. I mean, I don't know if anybody in that room there, where you guys are, could agree that it could be brought in. Well, I mean, how do you figure? I would shoot it down.
Well, what the lawyers are arguing is that, with maybe the program shouldn't dime him out, but those people that sat in there in that meeting, they're not running the program. They're not considered clergy. They have no obligation to be quiet. That's what...
let me tell you that. Let me say... All right, hold on. Here's the difference, and Fez has got a point. If it's between you and your priest, okay, maybe I can see that. You stand up in church and say, I killed my wife... Everybody in that church heard you. They're not the priest. You don't have this relationship with them.
No,
they have no moral.
Right, thanks, Kerr.
They have no moral responsibility to keep your secret.
No, that's not a direct conversation. We're talking a direct conversation. The priest is a member of the clergy, and supposedly everybody who's in that AA room is a member of Alcoholics Anonymous because that's the requirement for membership. I decided to stop drinking.
All right, here's Keith. Keith, you're on Run Fest.
Hi, long-time listener, but I'm in Narcotics Anonymous, and I hear what you guys are saying, but when you're in the rooms, the stuff stays in the rooms. I agree with that, and it should not be admissible in court. But I tell you, if I had heard that in a meeting, I got 12 years in the program, and I had a little bit of rage before I got clean and sober. I would have taken care of the guy myself, and knowing the guys in the rooms, few people should have got together and taken care of this before you even got to court.
So you're saying they should have taken the law into their own hands. You'd be more comfortable with that than somebody going, I'm going to go to the police with this.
Well, it's all about anonymity, because what might happen in that court, that guy might get, go to prison for it, but there's going to be a lot of alcoholics and addicts after the fact that aren't going to trust the rooms, and those people are going to die because of this one guy. And it's going to go on, and the whole groups, and I know quite a few clean and sober people that won't be there for these people anymore, and that would be a shame, because I couldn't have done the 11 years I got now without those rooms.
I understand what you're saying, but somewhere along the line you got to take responsibility to innocent people on the outside of those rooms, too.
Now, Keith, you say that more people would die if they stay away from these meetings because of this guy getting dimed down. Couldn't more people die if a killer's not turned in?
Well, the thing is probably, if the guy was a regular or something, or if he had a sponsor or something, if there's an issue. Because I know a few guys in the rooms who had done things that were against the law, and they were kind of talked in about confessing up.
All right, but is it this big a murder, Keith, that you're talking about? Was it as big a crime as murder?
No, but it wasn't a minor offense either.
Okay.
I'd rather not go into it further.
I understand.
It's all in confidence.
All right, so it is a difficult situation.
Absolutely.
It definitely is a difficult situation. Hey, Keith, any way you can pick Billy up? No, that's up to Billy. That's your time to decide, Billy.
Yes, I'll make that decision on my own. Thank you.
Yes.
You guys, the person's got to decide when they're ready.
How many more things do you have to rub your head on before you decide you're ready, Billy? That's what I want to know.
How many more genital warts you got to headbutt before you're ready to get help?
How many does it take, man?
I think you do that sober.
You're looking eye to eye with Watto, and you're telling us you're fine. All right, thanks, Keith.
Well, Ronnie, one of the big...
Have a good night, guys.
All right, thanks.
You know, everyone uses the term a 12-step program, but the 9th step actually says, you know, you're supposed to make amends whenever possible, unless it would harm yourself or others. You know, there's only so much you can do. I mean, if you can, you know, if you want this guy to confess and stuff, that's in direct conflict of what...
So, all right, hold on. You honestly think that, let's say, you're trying to get sober and you're trying to become honest and do the whole thing, and you're wanted for murder. You can do the program without owning up to that. In your opinion.
You should own up to it, I believe, with your sponsor in a one-on-one, and hopefully your sponsor would be the one to say, look, you're never going to get better unless you fess up to this and do the right thing. But the fact that he did say it in the meeting, though, everyone in that meeting is playing the same role as if you were talking to a priest confidentially, because everyone who's in that room is a member of AA, and that's why they're closed meetings. So
first of all, there's a lot of people who believe that a priest should have to come through with this.
Right, yeah.
And even some priests who feel the same way.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, so it's not like we're going to figure it out here tonight. It's a tough call.
Yeah, and they got a 3-judge appellate committee looking at this thing.
Talk about 3 drunks. Those 3 guys that need a meeting. Hey, David, you're on Manifest.
Hey, David.
How you doing?
Hey, buddy.
I am a lawyer. I just wanted to chime in on the confidentiality issue. I think what the lawyers the prosecutors are trying to phrase this, their argument is that when you're in a confidential situation, whether it be with a clergy member, whether it be with a doctor or another attorney, that is always breached by the fact that someone else is there. So the fact that you have X number of people in a room, whether they are anonymous or not, the confidentiality is breached by the fact that they're there. So
as long as it's more than one person.
As long as there's more than one, as long as they're not your lawyer or your clergy. If you have 10 priests in the room and they're your clergy member, they're your clergy, and you make a confession, that's going to be held confidential. However, if there 9 just laymen in a room and your clergy member, that's not confidential.
Okay, let me ask you a question, lawyer. Now you're saying that you're talking David. Sorry, if you're talking to 10 priests, you're saying that then your conversation is still protected, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, no. Just hear me out. Hear me out for a second now.
Sure.
When you go into an Alcoholics Anonymous
meeting,
meeting,
you want to drink.
You're going into a room with all the people there under the same cloak of anonymity for the same reason. So what the court is saying is that you are talking to a room full of priests.
But
that's why it is. No, but that is what they're calling it. They're calling it a religious organization.
But you don't believe that, do you, Billy?
The court does.
What about you?
I believe it's religious in nature. I mean, it's spiritual in nature, but it has religious backgrounds.
Yeah, but that's not covered by confidentiality.
All right, thanks, David. All right, say it. I don't know, Billy. I mean, I think the reason that you're there is because you're trying to do the right thing. And, I mean, you have nothing to protect you. Let's suppose you get up and you go, hey, my name's Billy. I'm an alcoholic. Just try saying that once. Just pretend. You'll play that part.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a different Billy. It's
Bill
hi,
W. My name's Billy, and I am an alcoholic.
Yes, you are, Billy. I'm glad you admitted it.
Finally.
Welcome back.
All right, that's the first step.
That's where we want it to be.
Yeah.
I got a feeling that's going to make a shortcut.
All right, now let me say this, Billy. And you say, let's say you cheated on your wife. It's not a crime, but it's a thing. And a guy's in the back that happens to know your wife's sister or something. Mm-hmm. And then he tells. That's not a situation of anything other than, the basic morality of this little thing. You're not really held to anything. You won't be booted out.
No.
You won't be kicked out for saying that.
But you will find a lot of times in meetings when somebody tries to say something very personal, or a lot of times before the meeting starts, if you have something very personal or very damaging, say it confidentially on the side with somebody. Don't bring it up in an open meeting.
People say that in the meeting when you go in?
They will. Yeah. Certain group consciences will say that.
And basically, it's the best way to be anyway. I mean,
sure.
When feel like you
need
to
thing to do.
Spill your guts in front of a whole meeting about something you've done, please. Hey, James, you're on Fez.
Hey,
and I'll start looking at my watch then. James, you're on Fez.
Hey, James.
Hey, Billy, what would you do if somebody confessed having something to do with September 11th and said there was more crap going to hit the fan? What would you do in that situation?
You know what? I cannot honestly answer that because of how I feel. You know,
but I mean, look, whoever this person's family was, they feel close to this murder situation. They feel the same way. You're saying you can only relate to something on a big level. One murder doesn't matter to you. 5,000 does.
I'll admit to it. I'd probably kill the guy in the parking lot on my own.
But you wouldn't call the FBI?
No. I'd probably kill the guy on my own.
All right, let's suppose you tried, he whipped your ass, and you got up. Would you go to the FBI then?
No, I'd get more people.
He's gone. Now he's gone.
Right. And you know you're not going to see him at another meeting.
The kind of car he has. You know the area he's in. You're going to take it upon yourself. You call 2 of your buddies. Whatever you want to do. I really want you to be honest. Would you say to the FBI, I know this guy is in some town in New Jersey?
Yeah, but you know what you could do? You could let the FBI know that he does attend AA meetings, not without diming him out, let's say, and let them take it from there.
Make them do the extra work. So you're only going to tell so much. Bill.
You're not going to tell that he was involved? You're just going to say, hey, there's a terrorist guy in AA?
You know what? For September 11th, screw it. I would throw my convictions out the window. I'd dime the guy
All right,
out.
well, to me, it's the same situation.
How about for your sister?
Same thing, right?
Or your brother or your father.
Yeah, now it's becoming a little more personal.
All right, thank you very much, Jim. So, Billy, you only really care about people you know who got killed or a very large murder that took place?
Well,
not a murder, a single murder that doesn't affect you.
Well, when it comes down to it, everyone, you got to make a decision based on the circumstances, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. All right, we got to take a break. That's a decision I have to make based on these circumstances, Fizz. We need a break.
Ron and Fez, 102.7 WNEW.